Our fourth behavioural style we call Mr. Huey Blue. Mr. Huey Blues like structure, organisation. They're driven by the need for correctness and perfection. Their reputation is very important to them and they will protect it at all costs. They like detailed information and tend to work in a very methodical and sequential manner. They like to focus on one task at a time and take as long as it takes to do it correctly before moving on to the next task. They tend to follow the procedures to the letter and are often regarded as having very high standards of work because they follow the procedures, they follow the rules. So, the unhelpful thoughts then of a Mr. Huey Blue preference. Thinking that other people don't appreciate or understand the time it takes to complete a task correctly and feeling that they haven't been given that sufficient time in which to complete the task, the work, to that correct kind of standard. Lack of structure with regard to the clarity of the prioritisation of the tasks. Their thinking is that they don't have a clear, predetermined starting point or a sequential order for actually completing the work. Everything's on a tight deadline. Everybody needs everything at the same time. So they need some clarity around. Thinking that what is being expected of them is not right. Or in some cases even, they might even have resentful thoughts that they're having to put right everybody else's mistakes because nobody does it as well as they do. Nobody pays the same amount of attention to detail. Other people do substandard work. Worrying about not being able to give full attention to one job at a time and completing a task before moving on to the next one. Again, these are some of the kind of just a few insights into the thinking behind the stress, the real source of stress. So if you manage Mr. Huey Blue, when allocating the workloads and tasks or during your regular check-ins, discuss and agree the prioritisation of the tasks. Ensure they know which tasks they should focus upon first and have a clear starting point, but also a clear kind of sequence for the order of priority of the tasks or the order that they should work on them. Be prepared to be flexible and negotiate the timeline for completion of tasks. Give time to listen to their reasoning and explanation of why they need the time that they believe that they need. And then that's where the negotiation can come in. Make sure they have all the information they believe, not you, they believe they need in order to do the work. And if it's not available, let them know either when it will be available or where they can actually find it and access it. Whilst you may not want to encourage colleagues being in contact with you all day, every day, it's important that Mr. Huey Blue feels safe in the knowledge that if they should have a major issue which is going to hold up or delay the work, that they can then advise you of the situation and that you will take any necessary steps to help with the situation if possible. So perhaps they're being held up by a colleague and perhaps Mr. Huey Blue has tried to actually chase up that information, but they're not getting a response. They're just hitting a brick wall, let's say. They want to know that you will then either possibly intervene on their behalf or actually have a discussion about revising the completion date. Because their real worry and concern here is that they actually want to be reassured that their reputation is not going to be dented by the actions of other or inactions of other people. If you yourself are Mr. Huey Blue, then you might need to be a little bit more flexible with your thoughts. Be open to negotiation about timelines and prioritisation of tasks. Don't wait to be given information that you need. Ask for that direction, ask for the clarity, ask for the information or where you can find and access that information. You may need to revise your thoughts and be more accepting that other people have different priorities and pressures, and their priorities and pressures might conflict with some of yours. So it's about having that flexibility and being willing to negotiate again. And stop focusing and thinking about the actions of other people and what they are either doing or not doing correctly, incorrectly. Focus your thoughts on doing your own best work and what do you need to do. So drop that bone about thinking about substandard work of others and what the other people are up to. Spend your time thinking about the work that you are doing.